Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm glad you're here today. We're about to dive into an exciting journey through the history of our topic. This is the first slide, so I just want to give you a quick overview of what to expect. We'll explore key moments, important developments, and the overall story behind this subject. So let's get started and see where this history takes us. On this slide, we see the title Rosetta inscription, which hints at how inscriptions help us understand the past. Inscriptions are like ancient messages carved in stone or written on other materials. They tell us about people who traveled from one place to another, showing us movement and connections across regions. For example, Suleiman and the Kurthar Hills in the northwest are important landmarks mentioned in many inscriptions. You'll also notice references to letters with dates. These help us establish timelines, answering questions like, was it one past event or many? Manuscripts, on the other hand, are written documents that reveal stories, laws, or records from different times. The slide mentions rivers like the Ganga, its tributaries, and the Nirmada, which played a crucial role in shaping civilizations. Rivers were lifelines, providing water, food, and routes for travel and trade. The river Indus and its tributaries are also highlighted, reminding us how vital rivers were for settlement and development. We also see references to historians and archaeologists. These are the people who study and interpret the past through evidence. They help us understand the time frame of history, asking questions like, when did certain events happen? And how did people live? Understanding the past involves finding out about where people lived, what they did, how they traveled, and when significant events took place. Places like the Garo Hills in the northeast and the Vindhyas in central India show us the geographical diversity of ancient settlements. So, what can we really know about the past? This slide emphasizes the importance of asking questions. What happened? Where did it happen? How did it happen? And when? All these questions guide our exploration of history, helping us piece together the story of human civilization across different regions and eras. The word history comes from the Greek word historia, which means inquiry or knowledge. Essentially, when we study history, we're trying to gain knowledge about the past. The main purpose of studying history is to understand what happened before us, our origins, our stories, the events that shaped our world. By doing this, we can see how the present has evolved from the past. Now, when we think about the purpose of history, it often boils down to answering key questions. What happened? Where did it happen? How did it happen? And when did it happen? These questions help us piece together the story of human experience, giving us a clearer picture of our roots and progress. Understanding these aspects helps us connect the dots between past and present, offering us valuable lessons and insights as we move forward. It's all about curiosity, inquiring into the details so we can better understand the bigger picture. So let's break down the key questions we need to ask when analyzing an event. When did it happen? Where did it happen? How did it happen? And what exactly happened? These questions help us gain a clear understanding of the situation. First, understanding when an event took place is crucial because it helps us place it within a timeline, giving us context about what was happening around that time. Next, knowing where it happened allows us to connect the event to specific locations, which can influence its impact or the way it unfolded. Then, asking how it happened is about understanding the process or the sequence of actions that led to the event. This helps us identify causes and contributing factors. Finally, what happened is about the core of the event itself, the outcome or result. By systematically addressing these questions, we create a comprehensive picture that ties directly into our overall theme, helping us analyze and understand the significance of each event in the bigger picture. When we study history, historians often use what's called a chronological sequence to make sense of events. This means they arrange events in the order they happened, which helps us understand how things developed over time. A key point here is that the birth of Jesus Christ is considered year zero in this system. So, all historical dates are counted from this point. Events that took place before his birth are labeled as BC, which stands for before Christ. Conversely, events that occurred after his birth are called AD, or Anno Domini, meaning in the year of our Lord. This dating system is fundamental because it provides a clear framework for placing events in their proper historical context, helping us see how different periods connect and influence each other. It's a simple yet powerful way to organize history, aligning with our overall goal of understanding the flow of human events over time. So let's talk about some of the key terms you'll see when working with dates in history. BC stands for before Christ, and you'll notice it often appears after a date. For example, if we're talking about events that happened before the year 1, we might say 500 BC. On the other hand, you'll sometimes see AD before a date. AD stands for Anno Domini, which is Latin for in the year of the Lord. This is used for dates after the birth of Jesus Christ. So, 2020, for instance, can also be written as AD 2020. Understanding these terms helps us place historical events accurately on the timeline and connect different eras within history. They are essential for understanding the chronological context of historical narratives. Let's explore what we can learn about the past by looking at different aspects of people's lives. First, we can find out about the houses in which they lived, which gives us clues about their daily life and environment. Next, examining the kinds of clothes they wore helps us understand their culture, climate, and social status. We can also learn a lot about various groups of people, such as hunters, herders, farmers, rulers, merchants, priests, craftspersons, artists, musicians, and scientists. Discovering their activities and roles paints a richer picture of their society. Additionally, we can find out about the games children played, the stories they heard, and the songs they sang. These are important for understanding their entertainment and cultural traditions. All of these details help us piece together how people lived, what they valued, and how their societies functioned. It's like a puzzle that reveals the story of their lives across different times and places. Let's talk about where people lived. Throughout history, human settlements have varied greatly depending on the environment, resources, and technological advancements. Early humans often lived in caves or simple shelters, using natural features for protection. As time went on, people started building more permanent homes, like huts and villages, often near water sources for easy access to food and transportation. In different regions, you'll see unique adaptations, such as the nomadic herders in the steppes or the fishermen along coastlines. Urbanization also played a huge role, with cities developing around trade routes and strategic locations. Understanding where people lived helps us see how they adapted to their surroundings and how their environment shaped their way of life. This connects directly to the overall theme of human adaptation and progress through time. People gathered food in different ways, including collecting edible plants and hunting animals. This shows how resourceful and adaptable early gatherers were in their environment. They lived along the banks of the Nirmada River for several thousand years, which was a crucial part of their survival. The river provided water, food, and a means of transportation, making it an ideal location for these communities. The Nirmada River played a vital role in shaping their way of life, and understanding this helps us see how early humans thrived by utilizing their natural surroundings. Around 8,000 years ago, early humans began to shift from a purely hunting and gathering lifestyle to more settled ways of life. They started to grow crops like wheat and barley, which were some of the first agricultural products. This was a major step toward the development of farming communities. At the same time, they also began rearing animals such as sheep, goats, and cattle. These animals provided not only food like meat and milk, but also materials like wool and hides, which were essential for daily life. Living in villages became more common as these farming practices took hold. This shift allowed communities to settle in one place, build more permanent homes, and develop more complex social structures. Now, connecting this to our overall theme, these early farming practices laid the foundation for the growth of civilizations. Moving to the Sulayman and Kurthar Hills in the northwest, these regions played a significant role in the development of early societies. The geography here influenced how people farmed, settled, and traded, shaping the cultural landscape we see today. Let's take a closer look at the Vindhyas, which is notably recognized as the place where rice was first cultivated. This highlights the region's importance in the history of agricultural development. Moving northeast to the Garo Hills, we see another significant area that contributed to early farming practices. The Vindhyas in central India, along with the Garo Hills, played crucial roles in the spread and advancement of agriculture in the region. These areas are key to understanding how early societies transitioned to settled farming and laid the foundation for subsequent agricultural progress. Connecting this to our overall theme, it shows how diverse regions contributed uniquely to the development of agriculture across India. About 4,700 years ago, some of the earliest cities in human history began to flourish along these vital rivers. Today, I want to focus on the River Indus and its tributaries, which played a crucial role in shaping ancient civilizations. These rivers provided essential water sources for agriculture, enabling communities to grow food and sustain large populations. The fertile plains along the Indus supported the development of sophisticated urban centers, trade, and culture. The interconnected network of tributaries meant that these cities could thrive and expand, making the region a cradle of early civilization. Understanding the importance of these rivers helps us appreciate how natural resources directly influenced human progress and societal development over thousands of years. About 2,500 years ago, cities really started to develop and grow. In the southern part of the Ganga River, there was a region called Magadha, which is now in the state of Bihar. This area became very important because the rulers there were extremely powerful. They established large kingdoms that controlled vast areas and influenced many aspects of life. The development of these cities and kingdoms played a crucial role in shaping the history of India. It shows how leadership and strategic location along major rivers like the Ganga contributed to the rise of powerful civilizations. So, in this part of our story, we see how the early growth of cities and kingdoms set the stage for the rich history that followed. The hills, mountains, deserts, rivers, and seas certainly made journeys challenging at times, but they never made travel impossible. People were always searching for their livelihood, looking for ways to escape natural disasters, or even conquering other lands. Merchants, for example, traveled with caravans or ships, carrying valuable goods across great distances. Religious teachers also played a vital role by walking from village to village and town to town, offering instruction and advice along the way. And of course, there was always that spirit of adventure, an innate desire to discover new and exciting places, pushing people to explore beyond what was familiar. All these efforts highlight how travel has always been a fundamental part of human life, driven by necessity, curiosity, and the desire to connect. Today, I want to talk about two of the most common words we use for our country, India and Bharat. The word India actually comes from the name of the Indus River, which is called Sindhu in Sanskrit. Over 2,500 years ago, Iranians and Greeks referred to the river as Hindos or Indas. And from that, the name India was derived to describe the land to the east of the river. On the other hand, Bharat is a name that has deep historical roots. It refers to a group of people who lived in the northwest part of the land, and they are mentioned in the Rig Veda, the earliest known composition in Sanskrit. So both names, India and Bharat, carry rich histories and connect us to different aspects of our ancient past. These names help us understand the cultural and historical diversity that makes our country unique and special. Let's explore the sources we use to learn about the past. First, there are literary sources. These include texts, writings, and documents created by people from the time period we're studying. They give us valuable insights into beliefs, events, and daily life. Then, we have archaeological sources. These are physical artifacts, structures, and remains uncovered through excavation. They help us piece together history when written records are scarce or incomplete. Both types of sources are essential because they complement each other, giving us a fuller picture of the past. By examining these sources carefully, we can better understand the stories and experiences of those who came before us. These books, known as manuscripts, were preserved in temples and monasteries, serving as important cultural and religious repositories. They covered a wide range of subjects, from plays and poems to epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata. They also included knowledge on medicine and science, as well as the lives of kings and details about religious beliefs and practices. Most of these manuscripts were written in languages like Sanskrit, Prakrit, and Tamil, reflecting the linguistic diversity of ancient India. The manuscripts were usually inscribed on materials such as palm leaves or bark from the birch tree, which grows in the Himalayas. The term manuscript comes from the Latin word manu, meaning hand, highlighting that these texts were handwritten. These manuscripts are invaluable because they offer us a glimpse into the knowledge, culture, and beliefs of the past. They were carefully preserved in religious and scholarly places, ensuring that this knowledge was passed down through generations. Inscriptions are typically written on stone or metal, which helps them last for a long time. Sometimes, kings had their orders inscribed so that everyone could see, read, and understand them. This was a way to communicate important messages clearly to the people. Kings also used inscriptions to record their victories in battle, celebrating their achievements and reinforcing their power. These inscriptions serve as a record of history, showing us how leaders communicated and preserved their legacy for future generations. They are a vital part of understanding how ancient civilizations recorded their stories and authority. Now, let's talk about archaeologists and their vital role in understanding human history and prehistory. They study the past by excavating sites and analyzing physical remains. This means they carefully dig up and examine things like ancient buildings made of stone and bricks, as well as paintings and sculptures that tell us about past cultures. They also find everyday objects that people used, such as tools, weapons, pots, pans, ornaments, and even coins. These items help us understand how people lived, worked, and interacted with their environment. By studying these remains, archaeologists piece together the story of humanity's development over thousands of years. Their work is crucial because it provides tangible evidence of our ancestors' lives, connecting us to our shared history and helping us see how civilization has evolved. When we study the past, we often use the word source to refer to the information we find, whether it's from manuscripts, inscriptions, or archaeological discoveries. These sources are like clues that help us piece together history. Once we find these sources, learning about the past becomes an exciting adventure, almost like solving a mystery. We reconstruct events and daily life bit by bit, connecting the dots to see the bigger picture. That's why historians and archaeologists are often compared to detectives. They carefully examine the clues, analyze them, and build a story of what really happened. It's a fascinating process that brings history to life and helps us understand where we come from. We have used the word pasts, in plural, to draw attention to the fact that the past was different for different groups of people. This means that rather than thinking of history as a single, uniform story, we should recognize that different communities and groups experience their histories in unique ways. By acknowledging multiple pasts, we can better understand the diverse perspectives and experiences that shape our present. It's an important reminder that history isn't one size fits all, and that understanding these different pasts helps us build a more inclusive and nuanced view of the world. There was another kind of difference that we should consider. Kings, for example, kept records of their victories, and these records were often preserved for history. But ordinary people like hunters, fishermen, and farmers didn't keep written records of their daily lives or work. This means that while archaeology helps us uncover information about their lives, there is still a lot that remains unknown because we don't have written records from them. The lives of farmers, in particular, were quite different from those of kings and queens. Even today, we see this diversity reflected in the different practices and customs across various regions of the country. These differences highlight how varied human experiences are, depending on time, place, and social roles. So, in understanding history, it's important to recognize the gaps left by the lack of written records from ordinary people, and how archaeology plays a crucial role in filling those gaps. This all ties back to the overall theme that history is a complex story shaped by many different kinds of evidence. Now, let's take a look at Cleopatra and Ptolemy. These names are a great example of how ancient rulers were recorded. Rosetta, as you might remember, is a town on Egypt's north coast, and it played a crucial role in deciphering hieroglyphs. Scholars who could read Greek noticed that the names of kings and queens were often enclosed in a small frame called a cartouche. This was a key discovery because it helped us identify and understand the names of Egyptian royalty. So, when we see Cleopatra or Ptolemy inside a cartouche, it tells us these are the names of important rulers. This part of the story ties into the larger theme of how language and symbols helped unlock Egypt's history. The Rosetta Stone, with its inscriptions in multiple scripts, was essential in translating hieroglyphs and understanding the legacy of figures like Cleopatra and Ptolemy.